Presidential candidate Maura Healey wants to give you $50. This is just like New York Governor Hochul saying, "Hey, we were going to charge you $15 or whatever it was, and now we're only going to charge you $9, and we're saving you $6." Right? I feel like I already did this bit last week. Like that's wife math, right? Wife math at the store. Look at honey, I saved $20 on my visit to TJ. I'm going to get myself a. Fortunately, my wife doesn't watch the show. Not a big surprise. Right? It's wife math or Democrat math, right? Look at honey, I saved 20% at TJ Maxx. Oh, how much did that cost us for you to save? $72 to save 20%. Oh, great. Oh, it's lovely. And soon enough, that knickknack ends up in some shelf in the basement, right? So it's the same thing. We're going to mark it up to mark it down, basically, and give you the perception that we saved you $50. Lower bills, major savings. God. I mean, like, you got to give the woman some credit for being able to keep a straight face, because this is like a Babylon Bee situation here. When you actually get out in front of this little podium with the lower bills, major savings, you've got to have some serious chutzpah to be able to pull this off. With this, I guess maybe they're laughing at themselves. They're like, "Oh my God, are we really pulling this off? Are we really lying to people? And are they really buying it?" Maybe that's why they seem to be so happy. Because it seems as if they're pulling one over on at least the mainstream media. Because, as we all know, Maura killed 2 pipelines. She's the pipeline killer, right? She's the pipeline killer. This from Allie, terrific fab. AG calls on Department of Public Utilities to investigate the future of natural gas utilities in Massachusetts. This one, I'm pretty sure, was a press release from Maura Healey's tenure. And then we could go to probably the 2 most damning documents that are still up on mass.gov, which I'm sure the Healey administration, you might want, somebody in opposition research department might want to download these documents, because I'm pretty sure they're going to evaporate from the internet pretty soon. So if I was you, I would screenshot this, because it's going to go away, because these are embarrassing documents from Governor Healey, now presidential candidate. Her time as Attorney General, Maura Healey, 2015, AG study, increased gas capacity not needed to meet states' electric reliability needs. And so this is a landmark study that she did to prove we don't need no stinking natural gas. We don't need no natural gas. Why? Because of their climate religion. You might also remember that a decade ago, the left was fighting against all the pipelines out in the upper Midwest, North Dakota, the Keystone Pipeline. You'll also remember that as soon as Biden took over in 2021, he canceled the Keystone Pipeline. The left is furious about natural gas, even though it's way more efficient than, say, coal, and we got rid of coal, right? So understand their process. First, get rid of coal, then get rid of natural gas, then get rid of oil. And therefore, you have no other option but to go green. And you might have to buy your electricity from Canada, which is going to get tariffed, instead of buying it from nearby Pennsylvania. But, of course, you killed the pipeline. And then once again, you have the chutzpah to stand in front of a sign like this that says lower bills, major savings. Go F yourself. I mean, this is you can't lie to people more than Maura Healey lies. Healey applauds today's SJC decision. So the prior headline I wrote to you, showed to you, was November 2015. This is from August 2016. So like 7, 8, 9 months later. She applauded a decision from the SJC, which she, I believe, filed a brief in favor of, so that basically it defunded a gas pipeline. So this is the technical, when she says she killed a pipeline, basically this is one of the lawsuits that made that happen. This is, she supported the Conservation Law Foundation, who just is like one of the most awful organizations ever, in fighting a pipeline. And this is effectively the smoking gun right here. You might want to download that because that's probably going to disappear from the internet pretty darn soon. Pretty darn soon. And she runs around on Seth Meyers and all the interviews she does, and she talks about, we're going to lower costs, because we know she did some polling back in January or late December, and she knows that Massachusetts residents are really concerned about cost. You really listen to her very closely. She's always talking about costs. She's always talking about cost. That's a buzzword for her. She understands that it polls very well. John Featherston responds, before Mass Governor attempts to take a victory lap for bringing down prices, let's remember that migrants get free room and board, includes heat, AC, internet, and cable. John, do you think the migrants are going to get a free $50 discount? I don't know. Free healthcare, free dry cleaning, free phones, free iPads, free tax and legal services, free Ubers. You get a $50 credit that you pay for in June. Shut up and like it, suckers. She hates you and your family. Yeah, not sugarcoating it there, John, are you? But it is true. Absolutely true. Boston Mom observes, housing is obviously becoming unattainable, but maintaining a home is increasingly prohibitive.
I have to say,
here comes Vice President Vance talking about how expensive it is, the costs of things. And let's take a listen.
Yeah, I'm hard-pressed to think of a time in my 40 years of life where it's been so hard for normal American citizens to afford a home. Even renting a home has become a challenge, or worse yet, fallen completely out of reach for so many of our families. I was talking with a relative a couple of years ago, and she just made kind of an offhanded observation. As a younger person than I am, she was looking to buy her first home and just mentioned that when her parents were growing up, they could afford a nice home on a single middle-class income. And she was sort of mentioning this as a sorrowful thing. She was sad that that wasn't true for her generation. And I think all of us in this room, certainly including me, have a little bit more work to do, I think, to make housing more affordable. I want to talk about
You remember when your grandparents bought a house for a couple of raspberries, right?
Because I think it's the issue where our interests in some ways are most aligned with the people in this room. I read recently that the average income it takes to buy a new house is nearly 2 times the average salary of your typical American family. Not the average American worker, but the combined incomes of a husband and wife. And that's just not acceptable or sustainable in the United States of America. We want Americans to be able to afford the American dream of homeownership, because we know that when people own their homes, it makes them a stakeholder. It makes them a stakeholder in their neighborhoods, in their cities, and ultimately, of course, in this country that all of us love so much.
That's right, Vice President Vance. And the big battle going forward from now is going to be on understanding, or having people understand, who's actually increasing your costs and who's actually interested in lowering your costs. This is a huge battle right now for the future of Massachusetts and the future of the country. Having people and making the case that Democrats actually are increasing your costs is one of the most important messages that we can be talking about